Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual public informational meeting for state project number 95-258, replacement of bridge number 5263, Sand Road over the West Aspetuck River in the town of New Milford. This is a live event on Zoom. There is a project email, phone, and project webpage. Next slide, please. My name is Mark Burns, and I'm the project manager for the DOT Local Bridge Program, and that is my contact information below. The goals for tonight's meeting are to interact with the project team, explain the Federal Local Bridge Program's Design Managed by State, or DMS program. We will have welcoming remarks by the town of New Milford, introductions of the project team, and a formal presentation of the design process, which will include explaining the condition of the existing bridge and defining the purpose and need, and a recommended proposal. Please keep in mind that our design plans are only at 30%, and we welcome any comments so that we can progress properly through the design. And we will also have an open forum for your questions and answers. If you'd like to ask a question or send a comment, you can reach out to us by email at dot-flbp@ct.gov, by phone at 860-594-2020. This is a voicemail line that is monitored, or in the Zoom Q&A chat. And you can also reach out on the project webpage at portal.ct.gov/DOT new-Milford95-258. Our comment period will be open through March 16th, 2023, but the live Zoom Q&A will only be open during the presentation. I now have to read a slide on civil rights. No person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. We highly encourage you to fill out the voluntary post-meeting survey, also located on the project webpage, and there is a link included to the Title VI notice to the public available. A recording of the formal presentation will be posted to YouTube after the live event. Closed captioning, including non-English translation options, will be available at that time. This project is funded through the Federal Local Bridge Program through the Design Managed by State, or DMS program. In the past, federal local bridge projects were funded with 80% federal dollars and 20% town dollars for design, rights-of-way, and construction. Through the DMS program, and in conjunction with the Infrastructure and Jobs Act, design, rights-of-way, and construction phases are now funded with 80% federal and 20% state funds. The design, construction, and rights-of-way will now be at zero cost to the town. And despite the state being more involved in the design, it is still a full partnership with and coordination with the town. The goals of the DMS program are to provide a streamlined approach to design using our DOT resources to aid the towns to keep their bridges in a state of good repair by effective use of funds, decrease design time, and to utilize accelerated bridge construction, or ABC, bridge techniques to shorten construction duration. We also have a goal of increasing the number of projects delivered to construction each year. I will now turn it over to Jack Healy, Public Works Director and Town Engineer of the town of New Milford, to make some remarks.
Thank you, Mark. Just so everyone knows, the mayor cannot be here tonight. He is at a budget hearing, so therefore I'll give the introductory remarks. We'd like to thank both CJM and CONDOT for helping us with this bridge. It is a Sand Road Bridge project. It is the third in a series of cooperative bridge projects involving the town, CONDOT, and CJM. This is a DMS project, which is a benefit to the town, as the design and construction is funded by 100% federal and state funds. That's a great benefit to the town. After tonight's presentation, the public will have 2 weeks comment period. If anyone has any comments or questions about the project and would like to talk to the Public Works Department, you can contact us at the phone number seen on the screen, send us an email, or just stop into us. Our office is on Youngsfield Road. Again, thank you, Mark, and thank you to everyone for helping us with this bridge project.
Thank you, Jack. I will introduce the rest of the project team. As I said, my name is Mark Burns. I'm the project manager. Our division chief is Bart Sweeney from the Division of Bridges. Our principal engineer is Derek Lassard. The project engineer for this job is Andrew Shields. Also from the Office of Rights-of-Way is Zachary Garano. From Close Jensen and Miller, who acts as an extension of the DOT as our consultant liaison, is Michael Brady, project manager, and Dan Carnine, project engineer. This slide is to show some basic elements of a bridge. Bridge condition is rated on a scale of 1 to 9, with 9 being in excellent condition and 1 being imminent failure. Usually we won't use a 1, but rather a 0 and recommend closure of the structure. As shown in the slide above, the traveling surface for vehicles and pedestrians is the deck, which are protected by a parapet to keep pedestrians and vehicles from leaving the travelway. Supporting the deck is the superstructure, which in the case of Sand Road is structural steel beams. Supporting the beams and the superstructure and deck are the abutments and wing walls, as shown. And in this case, in this picture, there's a pier, but there is not one present on Sand Road, but depending on the length of the bridge, a pier may be present. Next slide, please. I will now turn over to Dan Carnine from CJM to begin the formal presentation. Dan, please proceed.
Thank you, Mark. As Mark mentioned, I am the project engineer from Close Jensen Miller, here to present the project-specific information for the replacement of Bridge 5263 Sand Road over West Aspetuck River. So let's move on to the next slide. This bridge, located in the town of New Milford, is approximately 100 feet south of the intersection with Long Mountain Road. This is an aerial view of the site. You can see, look on the left picture, we are in a very residential area. And you can also see how close we are to the intersection with Long Mountain Road. The existing bridge was built in 1983 and consists of steel beams and reinforced concrete deck, which are supported by reinforced concrete abutments and wing walls. The existing bridge has a 32-foot total structure length. This structure length does make the bridge undersized for this crossing, and the existing bridge does make a choke point on the West Aspetuck River, resulting in some less than favorable hydraulic conditions. In addition to that, the bridge curb to curb width is 19 feet 7 inches. And based on today's standards, that curb to curb width is functionally obsolete for the estimated average daily traffic of 477 vehicles per day. So overall, this existing bridge is undersized. There are existing utilities at the site. Overhead utilities span the structure along the east side of Sand Road or upstream from the bridge, and those utilities continue to the north to a utility pole located on the north side of Long Mountain Road. There are also underground utilities located along the west side of Sand Road, and in that right picture there, you can see those underground utilities are attached to the downstream side of the existing bridge. So now we're going to get into more reasons why this bridge is eligible for the federal local bridge program, starting with the superstructure. The superstructure is in poor condition overall. It experiences moderate to heavy rust throughout. There's peeling paint, and then 4 out of the 11 girders do exhibit some form of section loss. The bridge is also eligible for the program because it is rated scour critical. That means that during a severe storm event, there is the potential for soil underneath the bridge to be washed away, resulting in undermining of the bridge and a possible failure during those severe storm events. So scour activity at this bridge has been observed in the past. We do know that these existing footings are not founded on bedrock and are founded on soil. And then in 2013, scour repairs did have to be performed at this bridge to correct some existing undermining. So those repairs can be seen in the picture on the left there. And then those repairs did improve the scour rating from a 2 to a 3. However, that 3 rating does still mean that this bridge is scour critical, and there is potential for future scour during a severe storm event. So because of the existing bridge conditions, the superstructure rating, the scour critical rating, we are proposing a full bridge replacement for this project. The new bridge would consist of asphalt concrete box beams supported by reinforced concrete integral abutments and wing walls. The new span length will be increased to a 60-foot clear span measured perpendicular to the proposed abutments. Because of the bridge skew and the angle of the abutments, the total bridge length measured along the roadway would be approximately 79 feet. This increase in the structure length will improve hydraulic conditions at the site, and it will help reduce some of the negative impacts associated with the scour. Along the top side of the proposed bridge, shown here in yellow, we will have open metal bridge rail run along both sides of the roadway. That open metal bridge rail will terminate into concrete end blocks at all four corners. And then those concrete end blocks will be treated with a simulated stone masonry form liner. So in the final condition, the bridge will have the appearance of a stone veneer. Moving on to our proposed plan view. So we're looking down over the river here. You can see our proposed bridge in orange. In the yellow areas is where we are proposing roadway construction or roadway reconstruction. So our roadway reconstruction limits to the north start at Long Mountain Road in the intersection there, and then extend to the south along Sand Road. And our project limits end just before those private driveways located on Sand Road. We will maintain access to those driveways at all times throughout construction. Along both approaches, on both sides of the roads, we will be installing new metal beam guide rail. That guide rail will meet the latest crash safety standards. In addition to that, we will be improving drainage at this site by installing a catch basin at the northeast corner of the bridge, just before the intersection with Long Mountain Road, and we'll be installing new drainage structures and outlets to the northeast. This is a cross-section of the proposed bridge. At the bottom, we have the asphalt concrete box beams. On top of that is the concrete shear slab. And then on top of that is the roadway surface and the bituminous concrete pavement. Again, shown here in yellow on both sides of the road is the open metal bridge rail. And our proposed bridge will have a 25-foot curb to curb width. That 25-foot curb to curb width will improve the existing bridge width and provide two 10-foot travel lanes along with a 1-foot minimum shoulder on each side of the road. Here are some examples of concrete box beam bridges done on past projects. So both these bridges here are examples of asphalt concrete box beams, so same structure type, and both these bridges also have the open metal bridge rail on top. Construction of the new bridge will require a detour. That detour is approximately 1.1 miles long and will be in place for a duration of approximately 6 to 8 months. The roads in the detour include Aspetuck Ridge Road and Long Mountain Road. There are rights-of-way impacts on the abutting properties associated with this project. Currently, our impacts are shown here on the screen. The green area is our proposed construction easement area. These are our temporary easements that allow the contractor area to work and perform activities like excavation, grading, installation of water handling devices and said control systems. The kind of brown area is the slope easement area. That's the area where the new bridge, the new channel embankments will be graded. And then that blue area in the bottom right is the proposed drainage right away, the area needed to install and maintain the new drainage structures. So these impacts are based off preliminary design plans. So as design progresses, these impacts will be refined and could possibly change. A little bit later in the presentation, we will be going over more of the rights-of-way process. So for this project, we will get all the necessary environmental permits, including the local and the wetlands permit from the town of New Milford, the flood management certification from the state of Connecticut, and the United States Army Corps of Engineers general permit. So anticipated schedule and cost. Our construction duration for this project is approximately 6 to 8 months or one construction season. with an anticipated construction start of spring 2025. Funding for this project will be 80% federal funds and 20% state funds, and the estimated construction cost is $2,250,000 with a state share of $450,000. Again, as Mark and Jack mentioned before, this is a DMS project. So the town share for this project will be $0. I'll now turn it over to Zach from the DOT Division of Rights of Way to talk about the rights of way process.
Thanks, Dan. So my name is Zachary Garino, and I'm a project coordinator with the Department's Division of Rights of Way. Our office is responsible for acquiring the property rights needed for transportation projects. The proposed project design requires acquisition of property rights like Dan mentioned. So I'd like to give you a brief overview of the Department's right-of-way acquisition process. As Dan mentioned, specific impacts are still being finalized and may change as the design progresses. Any required property rights will be acquired in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes, sections 13A 73 and 13A 98E, as well as the Uniform Act. Can change the slide. Once the design has progressed to a point where we are ready to begin the acquisition process, each affected property owner will receive a formal letter of intent to acquire from our office along with a property map, which depicts the exact property rights to be acquired. And on the screen there, you can see a sample of a property map. At that point, our office will determine the fair market value of those property rights and use that value to establish an offer of just compensation. That offer will be sent out to the property owner in writing, and a right-of-way agent will be available to meet with the property owner and explain the project, go over the specific impacts to their property, and explain the state's offer. The property owner will have a reasonable amount of time, typically 30 days, to consider the state's offer and enter into negotiations. When an agreement is reached, the department will prepare all the necessary paperwork to record the deed and property map on the town land records. However, if an agreement cannot be reached, in order to keep on schedule, the department may acquire the necessary property rights through its power of eminent domain. In that event, the state files a notice of condemnation in the Superior Court, along with a monetary deposit in the amount of the state's offer. The owner would have 6 months from that date to file an appeal if they felt that the state's offer was inadequate. Whether or not the owner chooses to appeal, the money deposited in the court is available to be withdrawn by the owner. It's important to note that the state only acquires property rights that are needed for the project. If there's any questions about the acquisition process, I'd be happy to answer them after the presentation. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach and Dan. At this point, we have concluded our formal presentation and will now open the floor up to questions. Again, you can reach us by email at dot.flbp@ct.gov, by phone at 860-594-2020, or in the live Q&A chat. Again, we also encourage anyone in attendance to visit the project webpage and to fill out the survey as well. Okay, with having no questions, we appreciate everyone who attended, and we will now conclude the meeting. Thank you again, and have a pleasant evening. Are we off?